everyone, welcome back to the Hearts of Resilience on Let Us Talk About It YouTube channel. Today, Ms. D and I are going to talk about the importance of setting boundaries as an entrepreneur or just setting boundaries in general. So I would like to start off by saying that boundaries are important, not just for other people, but you have to learn how to set healthy boundaries for yourself. And a lot of times we make that mistake. We focus so much on, I'm not gonna let this person do this to me. I'm not gonna let that person do that to me. But in reality, we forget that you can't set boundaries for other people that you don't respect for yourself. So, Ms. D, would you like to continue from there?
And when we talk about incorporating boundaries as an entrepreneur, that um, can apply in so many facets. But in particular, as an entrepreneur, our work hours, that's the first place where to instill our boundaries, because there's a difference of our well-being if we're just working nonstop, morning, not taking a break. So that is one way to start is our working hours, is incorporating it in that way.
I agree with you. I remember there was a time when I first started my business. I wanted to be so available and accessible to everyone.
Yes.
So I definitely did not set any boundaries because I thought, oh, what if someone calls me at 8 p.m. and they can't reach me? That's me losing an opportunity. But
Absolutely.
what I didn't understand at the time is that when you do that, people also lose certain kind of respect for you, and they don't take you serious in certain ways because you're just too available. And we have to understand that even without being an entrepreneur, when you're too available for people and accessible for people, you enable them to treat you any way they want. And honestly, after having a long day, if you want to continue to do work on your business, that's fine. But that's a time where you need to focus after hours when everybody's sleeping because it's a part of entrepreneurship. But to say that you are receiving certain calls is mentally draining.
And also, there got to be a balance because we all have a personal life. Nobody's life shouldn't be just all about work.
Yeah.
So there's a time for work. For me, there's a time for my spirituality and my connection with the Lord. There's a time for the family. So you got to have a balance.
Well, okay, I want to say it this way. So when you're starting a business now, right? I already been in business for 3 years now, right? When you're a startup entrepreneur, it's hard to set that boundary because you're wearing every hat. And I do understand what you're saying, but at the time when you're boundaryless, if that's a word, you don't realize that you're not setting boundaries. You're just all you're thinking about is getting that business off the ground.
So that's why we're talking about it,
You
right?
know,
Let's
so
talk about it. That's why we're talking about it.
you just want to get things done. You meet everybody. You want to be everywhere. You just feel like
Well, the first thing I want to address was the comment that you made. It's so hard. I talk about this in therapy. It is probably one of the top remarks when working with people. It's hard. Well, you tell me what in life is not hard. It's not hard. It's not the excuse. What is the skills that we got to do so we can accomplish this thing that is hard for us?
and I'm still going back to justify what I said before.
That's fine.
As a startup, it is difficult to set boundaries because you're not aware. You're a startup. You're not aware. First of all, you don't have enough experience. I just personally started to set concrete boundaries, literally after 3 years, because I have come to learn and realize that I don't need to be everywhere. I don't need to pick up everybody's phone call. Every event is not for me. I don't need to show up at every meeting. That's not
Absolutely.
for me. I had to really sit there and check myself out, and because I found myself drained at the end of the day, and
So you
realizing that
just
I have
make it,
done nothing. But it took me 3 years to get there. You
but
know. But people have told me this before when I first started, and I never listened because I wasn't there yet. My understanding was not there yet. So I'm not trying
But
to justify.
so for those that For some, it might not be that they're on. Sometimes it might be that somebody's understanding is not there, but sometimes it's just that the person don't have the information. They're not
Exactly.
aware of the tools of what they need to do.
Yeah.
So I can say I've been a salon owner. I managed a tax office for 20 plus years. So trust me, I know the when you don't have these boundaries, the impact that it has on you personally and your family if you have a husband, if you have children, and it ain't worth it
It's
by no
not.
means.
Yeah. I agree with you, but again, you know me, I'm stubborn, so I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna go back because I'm really basically speaking based on my own experience, and I had to learn. I had I have mentors, you know, good mentors. I have, you know, good people around me to push me into the right direction. I have supportive family and friends, and they've all told me, Miriam, you need to, you know, keep your focus on what it needs to be on. But I am a person who, first of all, I'm too curious, which gets me into a lot of trouble. And secondly, I want to satisfy everyone. And thirdly, if that's a word, I feel like when I don't show up to a place, I might miss out on opportunity. So because of that, I overwork myself and overpromise. And it's almost like how, you know how you said, don't bite more than you can chew. That's what I had been doing
I'm
for
gonna bite it
almost,
and I'm gonna chew it. And if
yeah.
I choke,
So
I'm gonna fix myself while I'm choking on it.
so that was me for almost actually 3 years. I don't want to say almost 3 years. Like I said, I just started setting healthy boundaries, not just for other people in business and personal, but I had to learn and realize that, Miriam, you can't be setting boundaries for all these people and friends and family and even, you know, other entrepreneurs and business partners. You got to set the boundaries for yourself. That meant that I had to respect my boundaries that I set for myself, right?
Absolutely.
I had to understand that, Miriam, if you say you're not going to do this, don't do it. And don't tell someone you're not going to do something and let them sweet talk you and then you go ahead and do it because people study you and they know those things about you. And
Because
you
people
know I
have
like to
their
talk.
agendas.
You
People
know I
have their
like,
agendas.
yes, and you know I like to talk, right? I get paid to speak, but I also like to talk, right? So I've also learned that it's important to I can still talk, but it's very important to listen to people with the intention of understanding where they're coming from. Because as an entrepreneur, I have realized, and I've had many meetings with people where they try to make it look like they're trying to help me. But in reality, it's that they're trying to help themselves, right? By using me, right? And you can tell by the way they're speaking, oh, I'm trying to help you.
You
I'm
can see
trying to
the
expose
agenda.
you. And but you see the agenda,
What's the
right?
benefit for
And
yourself?
sometimes, exactly. And I have been an entrepreneur. It's sad to say that sometimes you do have to be an opportunist. Because you walk around and a lot of people's like, I'm not an opportunist because opportunist is defined as a bad thing when you're dealing with people. Like you don't want to be an opportunist because that means that you're trying to just use people. But sometimes you have to be an opportunist because everybody out there is trying to get something for themselves. And it's painful for me to say this because I don't believe in that. I believe that we should work together. You know, we should guide each other. We should, you know, be there for each other. We should just, you know, uplift each other because when you win, I win. That's how my brain works. But throughout this journey, I've learned that it sometimes I have to shift my mindset a little bit because if not, I'm just gonna be it's either get with the program or get left back. So
So I'm gonna interrupt
go
because when
ahead,
you
please.
said enter opportunist, so an opportunist is someone who takes advantage of a situation to gain an advantage, often at the expense of morals or ethics. So that's different from seizing opportunities that are available to you. So that's why I just want to. It's
That
for me. I'm not opportunist,
that
but
is
I am very intentional when opportunities are available to me
that
that I utilize
definition.
them.
That definition by is politically right. That definition, politically right. And I say that because you know, it sounds like it's correct, but when we're talking about being in business and being an entrepreneur,
What's the difference? And I'm gonna
well,
give you an example.
okay.
I'm gonna give you an example. I receive emails about different grants, different business pitches. Me being intentional about using these opportunities is not being an opportunist. Now, like you said, coming to act like I'm trying to help you, but really I have a secret agenda for my benefit. That's being an opportunist.
And I'm also saying that in business, what I've learned is that sometimes you have to play the same game. And anyone who's watching this, I'm not saying that it's not a crime to actually. It's almost like when, let me give you an example, right? Because now I feel like I'm gonna confuse everybody. So for example, if someone, I'm a life development coach, right? I provide services, correct? So if someone comes to me and wants my service, correct? If someone comes to me and they want my service, and if they want my service, I'm gonna have to charge them. We do consultation and I charge them, right? And after charging them, what happens?
You deliver the service.
I deliver the service, right? And throughout delivering this service, I know the answer, but I just want to see if we're on the same page. Throughout delivering this service, what is my job to do to make sure that they
deliver that service that y'all made a contract of what you're giving them.
Exactly, and to make sure that they are getting the best service that I can possibly give them. But in that moment of delivering that service to them, if I try to use them in ways that doesn't benefit them,
now you're being an opportunist, but delivering the service.
Okay, so now I'm being an opportunist, right? But what about in the contract? It says that while I deliver service, I can use our session to promote my business.
That's not, no. If y'all have that conversation and that's an understanding, that's not being an opportunist. That is taking advantage of opportunities. When you're being an opportunist, you're trying to exploit the person for your gain. That's not what you're trying to do.
But I'm saying to you that in the entrepreneur world, that is necessarily not a terrible thing. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to gain something from someone. At the end of the day,
I disagree in the way that you're putting it.
Maybe I'm putting it the wrong way. Okay. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, everybody's trying to make profit.
Right.
Right.
But if you're delivering a profit that is fair to both parties, that's not being an opportunist.
But sometimes at the end of the day, it's not going to always be fair to both parties. They will verbally say that. Like I mentioned to you earlier, you will have people come up to you and say to you, I want us to collaborate because this is going to help you. They try to turn, you know what I mean? They try to play that mind game and stuff like that.
Well, that's a sign right there, right? Off the bat when they come and say,
you know, at the end of the day, you've known this person for so long and they have never tried to help you.
Right.
But every time they need a service, it's all about trying to help you. That is being an opportunist.
Okay, that's
right?
them, but not all.
Right?
This is what I'm gonna add to that.
Okay.
Not all entrepreneurs are not looking, is not,
so forget about the definition that you read on the phone, because I think that we're going off of
I ain't going off the definition, now I'm going off my moral.
Okay, I'm trying
my morals and integrity.
Okay, so yeah, that's your morals and integrity, but I'm actually going off of everything that I've seen. Like this is not about me, right? So I'm not making it about me. I'm making it about the reality of what's going on out there. What I'm saying is that
there are some people that I do agree with that.
If not, I would probably say 95% of people out there.
But I still will say not all, because I don't fit in that category.
No, that's why I said 95%, because a lot of time, again, this business world has become take, selfish. And not give. It's selfish. It's become selfish. Like I said, if most business owners would stick together, there's a lot that can come out of this, but everyone is trying to get what they want to get.
So that's why we got to have boundaries to avoid this. And that's what we're talking about.
And I had to set that boundary, and I had to learn the hard way. And in the beginning, it was not easy, because when you've been doing something for so long for someone or for an organization or for whatever it is, it becomes difficult to say, I don't think I'll be able to do this anymore, or I'll be available to do this anymore. Because in our head, most people believe that just because they've been doing it for so long that they have to continue doing it. But we also have to understand that it's okay to break loyalty. It's okay. Our loyalty has expiration date, and you
But
can end
what you're
anything you
also
want.
talking, but what you're also talking about is setting boundaries in communication as well, and that's a perfect segue into
But
that.
you know, when we talk about boundaries, sometimes we have to be sensitive about how we set the boundaries because everyone does not understand boundaries the same way. I learned that, especially from where I come from, right? Culturally,
You
I'm
said that we
laughing.
have to be careful how we set
Yes, we
up
have to
for
be
who,
sensitive
for whose purposes.
for other people, and
Well,
I'm talking about culturally. So this
okay,
might yeah. So
okay.
and I say this, and it doesn't have to be culturally, but I'm speaking from the culture part of it. In my culture, sometimes when you set certain boundaries for certain people, they actually think that you are being disrespectful.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you one example of this. In my culture, some people are used to showing up at your door without calling you. So if you tell them, please call me before you show up at my door, automatically they get offended. Why do I gotta, like, it's just like, so me growing up here, I'm just like, are you okay? Why would you show up at my house without calling me? I'm not gonna open the door. And I've done it.
All right.
People have showed up at my house. I have looked in the window, saw them standing in the front door, and I went right back into the living room and sat there and did whatever I did because you did not call me.
Because you are instilling your boundary.
And but to them it's disrespectful. It's
But
like,
that's
why are you?
okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's culturally, it's different for most culture. It's like, why am I calling you before coming to your house? You're my in-law. You're my sister. In their head, your house is their house. Yeah, to an extent, your house. You can come whenever you want, but you got to call me.
Yeah,
You know,
it's still by invitation.
exactly. Still by invitation because I don't want you walking up in my house when I'm doing something important or personal and you no, my stuff is everything is not for you. So culturally it is you have to be sensitive of how you set boundaries, but just because you have to be sensitive is not going to stop me from setting my boundaries. I'm
Okay,
gonna still set it
right.
because you not on the you're not liking me because I set my boundaries is none of my business. You
Well,
could get mad if you want.
well, then that let us know that they're a boundary violator, and if someone is a violator, do they need to be part of our lives? So I wanted to share um, when we're talking about boundaries because the people with not the right um, motives, they may get upset, but boundaries are personal limits we set with other people, which indicate what we find acceptable and unacceptable in their behavior towards us. They are essential for maintaining our sense of self and managing how we interact with others. Healthy boundaries help us establish our identity and are crucial for our mental and emotional well-being. And that's why we must have them.
Yeah, I
At
know.
the regardless how the other person responds.
Yeah.
Because me, if you come to me and you express something because I care for you, I love you, and I have mutual respect, I'm gonna honor that. I'm not gonna get upset. So when we have those individuals that do not respond in that way, and if you choose to give them opportunity to try to respect it, then once they show that, then that lets us know what we need to do. Now the responsibility is on us.
I definitely agree with you. Or actually, I'm surprised that I agree with everything you're saying this time, because I realize that when you don't set boundaries, number one, I'm going back to entrepreneurship situation again. When you don't set boundaries, you are all over the place,
Yep.
all over the place, and people know this about you. People around you know this about you. And when you don't set boundaries, you devalue yourself and the services that you give
And you have
people.
trained them of expectation now
Yep,
of our behavior.
yep. And I remember there was a time where I was just doing everything for free. And I'm sure people have probably put me in the category of free things. Like you come to me for anything. Even I was even giving out my services for free and not even knowing it, you know. And I had to realize at some point that I had to ask
We've
myself, like,
often done that.
what am I doing? And then when I started to set that boundary, I noticed that those who were so used to getting this free service, or my time was just so free. And there was a time where I actually, um, every time I volunteered somewhere, anywhere, if it had to be family member, friend, business, whatever it is, I would actually record the times that I volunteer and hours.
And
And
when
at
you
the end of the,
calculated it up, what was the result? What was the result?
oh my God. And at the end of the month,
It was eye-opening.
it was painful. I realized that in 1 month, I don't volunteer almost 72 hours of my time
Yeah.
to everybody else. And I said to myself, if I volunteered and did everything, because it wasn't only volunteering, it was just me doing things for people. If I did that, if I gave 72 hours of my time to the world, how many hours did I give myself? And then I finally realized that, oh, ding, 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 this is why you get nothing really done. Because I'm always like, because I always felt like I was doing so much, but yet didn't
Didn't see the
see
results
the
of
results
the
of
work
what I
that I'm
was
doing.
doing.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I wasn't doing those things for myself. I was doing it for everyone else. And to say with grace, I don't regret anything I have done. And I will still help and guide those people.
But as a
But
business,
I
it's about
would
making smart
decision
executing.
and executing and seeing what your opportunity cost is, you know.
Yes.
So if somebody's telling me, Miriam, can you come to this event with me, or can you do this for me? And I know I have to drive 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back. That's already an hour of my time. And if the event is for 3 or 4 hours, what am I doing for the rest of the day? But I did that. I've been there. So again, when I went and reviewed those times, and I just didn't write the time, I wrote what I did, and I was like
Yep.
72 hours of my time running up and down like a chicken with no head. It was a wake up call, but it was a painful one because it had me in spiral thinking, geez, like I've been doing this for probably 3 years, you know, and that was it for me. It was it. I literally changed my lifestyle and the way I did every single thing from that moment. And that happened just when the year changed.
So, question.
Oh, I like the questions. Go ahead.
So, since you are aware of who you are as Miriam, that you're strong-willed and you're gonna do
That I
your
always been.
job, okay, and that's fine. I think most of us, I'm strong-willed
Yeah,
to a degree.
and stubborn.
However, you use the word, I use the word strong-willed, you use the word stubborn. But however, but seriously, now that you said people tried to tell you, but you didn't listen, you wanted to do what you want to do. Now, on the other end of it, now that you realize that you had 72 hours, and then just the other effects, how it affected you, not in healthy ways. If you could go back and do it again, would you listen? What would you do different?
Um, I would listen, and I would be selective of what I involve myself in. I wouldn't say I would be selective of the people because I love everyone. I know it's weird when someone says they love everyone, but I don't have any dislikeness or hatred against anyone because they'd asked me and I willingly decided to participate and help and guide. So I don't regret any of that. But I would be selective and I would be more outspoken about, okay, if I'm going to go help you, I can only stay for an hour.
Right.
If I'm gonna go help you, I can only do it for 30 minutes.
Right.
Or or say to them, driving 30 minutes there and driving 30 minutes back is a lot. Can I get, because some of the places could have compensated me, or can I get a compensation? Like I would have had the conversation. And to me, I thought at the time when people ask you to do something or organizations and you ask for that, you are being too selfish. And also, I felt like it made me just look like someone who was just doing it for the money. And at the end of the day, that was not what was in my head. That wasn't my intention because my intention was to help. But again, I have understood that at the end of the day,
But it
I
takes
still
money
have
for me to help you.
Yes, it's taking a lot of money because
Yes.
when you think about 72 hours, those 72 hours wasn't all spent in my house. Half of those 72 hours was me and I calculated the driving back and forth too. So that 72 hours was a calculation of me driving there,
Right. That service
coming
cost
back,
expenses,
cost is
but you didn't
expensive,
receive any
gas,
income in to
nothing
take
at
care of those
all.
expenses. So it's actually
You
putting you
know,
behind.
so my wear and tear for the car, the mileage, the food I'm gonna eat on the road, like I could have just got compensated for one thing and I would have been okay with that. So no, I would not, I do not regret anything I have done, but I wish I could have been a little bit more strategic and I could have been so outspoken and let them know what I'm available to do, because there was time where I inconvenience myself to convenience other people. And I realized that that's the service in me. As you mentioned before, you know, having a family, I got to run a home, I have to run a business, I got to run myself. So how do you do that? You can't make your home happy and make everybody else outside happy. And my home comes first and my business comes second, because, and I mean it when I say that, business comes second. I don't live and breathe my business. I rather keep my relationship. So no, I don't regret it. I'm actually thankful that I did that, because it was a learning opportunity for me. It was. And thank you for asking that special question. Have that been said, we are going to try to wrap this up, everyone. This was such a great eye opener, and I hope that those who are watching today learn a thing or two about this. This is Ms. D, who's always coming up with great questions and keeping me on my toes. I'm stuttering now because I'm nervous. I always get nervous around her. So Ms. D, thank you so much for enhancing this topic and for being a part of this wonderful show that we've all created together. I appreciate you for being on here all the time. And she's Asia regular, as you guys know. So thank you, Ms.
Well,
D.
I'm the partner in Hearts of Resilience.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we hope to see you back. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Be blessed.